you all in today's free masterclass on plant-based and gluten-free healthy baking by Priya Vijan. I would like to mention it again. I'm extremely sorry I won't be able to open up my camera today as I'm not doing too well. Okay, so before we start, I would really like to introduce Wellcure very briefly. So Wellcure is an online platform for all your holistic and your health needs. I'm very proud to announce it that we are now a community of more than 4.5 lakh people. We have helped 20,000 people in reversing their lifestyle as well as their health issues. We have 150 plus health programs and we are also associated with 20 plus health experts. We at Belgia provide holistic health education, medical and nutritional consultations, health retreats. Basically, Wellcure is all about lifestyle, healing, and food. So, what we'll be learning today? We'll be learning about the dangers of conventional baking, what is plant based healthy baking, and how to shift to plant based baking. We'll also be uncovering some myths about plant based baking, and we'll be playing two recipe videos towards the end of the session. So, please stay tuned. Let me introduce our today's program expert, Priya Vijan. She made it to MasterChef India Top 11 and she is a plant based baker. She is also a plant based food, health, and fitness enthusiast. She currently runs a home based bakery, Melted Down, which provides plant based, gluten free, refined sugar free, refined flour free, and nutrient dense confectionery. Over to you, Priya.
Thanks, Tanushka. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for joining in. Quickly, how many are joining? I mean, where all you're joining from? We'll take a minute and I'll just get started. Hi, Raju Lakshmi. Where is everyone joining from? Hyderabad, AP, Hyderabad, Mumbai, Dehradun, Vizag, Bangalore, Jamnagar, Mumbai, Shillong, Mumbai, Tamil Nadu, Pune, Faridabad, Bangalore, Ahmedabad, Meerut, Pune, Karur, Gwalior, Bellary, Sahar, Lucknow, Asim. It's so nice that, because of technology, we're so connected across. I know it is a festive month and a lot of things around Asim. So guys, our topic is basically on plant-based. So I really want to know how many people are actually following a vegan or a plant-based lifestyle. Or people who are in the transition, you can say you're in the transition phase. Me. Not audible? I'm sure I'm audible. That's why others are able to answer me. Awesome. Vegans, yes, vegan and gluten-free. Great. Hi, Shreya. Awesome. Me, hi, Urja. All right, guys. Quickly, what we're going to do is basically, okay. So basically, I'll give you a little story about myself, how I turned vegan, because a lot of people, maybe I don't put it out loud on my Instagram, though the whole journey began. I'm 5 years towards the plant-based side of food to begin with. I reversed severe migraine and chest congestion, giving up dairy. I have been a non-vegetarian, then became a vegetarian, and it's 5 years that I am following a plant-based diet. And say 85-90% I am gluten-free as well. Okay, I do a cheat sometimes with atta and other things. So yeah, like I said, that I was dealing with severe migraine and chest congestion for decades together, and I used to take a lot of anti-allergic pills for that same reason. And strangely, no ever doctor asked me to do a food allergy test or be off something to check if it was that reason. I stay in Bangalore and people always complain about the weather and the pollens here. So typically I understood, okay, it's because of the pollens and I need to deal with it, live with it. Okay, and I consumed a lot of medicines. Only around COVID in 2019, I studied nutrition, and there was a subject on dairy and the symptoms uh, with dairy that I had were very similar to what I was reading. So I was like, okay, let's be off dairy and see. And in no time, my medication came down to zero. And yeah, I began my teaching journey and completely converted myself. It was a journey about 8-10 months that I converted myself 100% plant based. It was not an overnight thing. It took me time, and it cannot happen overnight for sure. Because when you need to understand what to eat, it begins from there. And for me, it was I turned plant based because of health reasons, but eventually, I got to know later that people do actually go towards veganism because of animal cruelty and climatic conditions and their contribution towards other things. So I would consider that I am a plus one indirectly to those, though I don't actively preach veganism. Okay. All right. So can't hear me. Okay, so quickly, guys. So what I'm going to do is just people, if you're new, not new, I'm just going to run through, what plant-based baking is and what will be the swaps. And then I have two recipes, which are 100% plant-based. One is a bucket recipe, which is 100% wheat, and the second recipe. Am I audible to everyone? People, give me thumbs up. Am I audible? Yes. So that means people are not connected the audio. My neighbors can also hear me, guys. So I'm sure. Okay, great. So I'm audible. All great. Awesome. So what I'll do, I'll ask, shut down the chat so that we are quick and not really getting distracted by messages below. Tanishka, can you please turn off the chat? We'll turn it on later. I'll take up questions if you have. All right.
Yeah.
So what is plant-based baking? All of us know basically plant-based baking is more focused on health. And there is no day that I guess as Indians or anywhere across the globe that we do not eat anything that's baked through the day. We tend to eat bread with your chai or, your buns, croissant, um, biscuits, cookies, all through the day. All of us do eat in some other form or the other. All right. Now we go to the next. All right. Now, what are the concerns about conventional baking? All of us are aware. See, this is nothing that I'm telling something new. It is maybe, um, just a revision through it. So basically, the stuff that we get out in the market are filled with saturated fats or hydrogenated oils. That's basically vanaspati, margarine. All right. And increased amount of sugar. It's mostly white sugar, or there is glucose, fructose, maltodextrin, all the different names of sugars that are usually added. And there are conditioners added to the dough, and there are some preservatives in excess or minimal quantities. I'm saying unnatural ones that are chemically formulated, and there are food dyes to color food. And of course, nutritionally poor because ideally just maida, sugar. All right. And of course, it's bleached flour. Okay. These are the concerns. All of us know nothing new about it, but we eat it because it's readily available in the market and it tastes superb on our palate. Okay. There is no other reason why do we eat it. Okay. Easily accessible. That's the reason we're eating it. So we go to the next. All right. So when I look at a bread, when I think about bread, I think the ingredients has to be flour, yeast, if I'm using commercial yeast, and then to bloom the yeast, I will use some kind of a sweetener and water, salt, and maybe oil. These are the 6 ingredients when I think about bread. Okay, beyond that, I do not know as a layman what goes into, but ideally, when you read the ingredients, you have, maida, sugar, yeast, salt, oil. Then there's soy flour, there's vital gluten, there is preservatives, which has some cores, there's flour treatment, that's a conditioner, emulsifiers, stabilizers, antioxidants. You and me do not understand this language. So I don't consider it as. All right. The first 6 ingredients, very loud and clear, cool. All right. But Always read your labels, and you will know that we're not actually eating food 90% of the times. Go to the next. And like I said, what is plant-based healthy baking? We try and make it preservative free, fill it with nutrition, free of animal products, natural ingredients as possible, food that promotes health, and simple to make at home also. Okay, it doesn't have to be some science. Of course, there is some science involved in baking, but you don't want to go bonkers doing something and thinking it's time consuming. Of course, it is time consuming, because if you're doing it for the first time, anything new will seem a task, but eventually, as in when you're doing it, it's all cool. All right, we go to the next. Now, how do we shift to plant-based baking? Like I said, it's not going to happen overnight. I know here we have people who are following a plant-based lifestyle or a diet, and people who are on the transition side and being like, say, 80-90% plant-based, want to reduce on the junk. And now I know there's another category where people who are baking, who are selling. For that information, also people come here. All right. So, like I said, it's not going to happen overnight. I would say that it is about educating yourself every single day, finding your own ways, somewhere that you are comfortable with. All right, guys. Again, I want to take it as a disclaimer that, I have come up with this whole thing because of my personal journey. I'm not here to preach saying that completely going off dairy is going to help you, heal you. It does. In a lot of ways, it does. But please be mindful that always take a doctor advice. Nothing has to happen overnight. All right. Unless until you are convinced. All our beliefs are different. I'm here coming from a very personal experience. I have curated this session, today's talk that I'm doing, and of what I have learned. And I'm sure there are always people who resonate with something that I say. All right. So it's coming from there, not preaching per se, saying that, oh, you should go plant-based, you should go vegan. No. Yes, the whole idea is to eat clean as much as possible, eat high fiber, eat high nutrition. All right. So we go to the next. Now, how do we replace negative ingredients with positive? I call white sugar, egg, all the dairy ingredients, any ingredient that's coming from an animal as negative ingredients versus the positive ingredients. We go to the next. Okay. Now, what do eggs usually do in baking? A lot of breads also, breads, cakes, cookies, a lot of them use eggs. They are more for the structure, the flavor profile. As a binding agent, it helps usually in baking. Now, how do we replace that in plant-based baking per se? Is by using chia seeds, flax seeds, or psyllium husk. These three ingredients help bind ingredients beautifully. All right. Now, what is wrong with eggs? Yes, like I said, people who are already vegans, plant-based might know this. It is just that, see, we are mammals. A chicken, hen, goat, cow is also a mammal. All of us produce our own hormones. The moment you consume hormones, you're consuming something from another mammal. You are consuming their hormones as well, and that's where the issue starts. You have gut issues, you have dermatitis, you have hormone imbalance to a large extent. So there are a lot of things that are related with the kind of food that you eat. Again, every body type is different. Some will work beautifully consuming all this, some might not. Coming from a personal experience, didn't go well for me, and I reversed something that I was ailing from for 20 years, came down to zero with medication, and talking about it here. All right. So these are the three ingredients that help bind ingredients in baking. All right. Chia seeds, flax egg, and psyllium husk. Psyllium husk is nothing but it's a ghol. Okay, you get easily in a chemist shop. It's a great laxative as well. A lot of people use it when you're constipated. We go to the next. Now, replacing dairy. Now, what's wrong with dairy? Again, I see. Do we consume, you, me, as adults today? Do we consume human milk? Why not? When we came into this world, we did consume our mother's milk. Why not today? Why are we so freaking about the whole idea of consuming a human milk today versus a cow milk? just because of the conditioning. Because again, I know there are a lot of people who say that Are Shri Krishna ji bhi to makhan aur dahi khate the. All right. He always consumed dairy after the calves were fed. The excess milk, that extra that was left out. Now you do not know how your dairy industry is functioning. The kind of stress the animals go through when the calf is weaned off forcefully from the mother's milk. So I'm sure all of us have emotions, and the negative emotions are held by animals as well. So a lot of things start from there too. Okay, that was a veganism side, but yes, now how do we widely use dairy curd in some form in baking. Again, it gives hydration to the bread or the cake, and then it helps in flavor profile also to a large extent. Now, how do we replace that in plant-based or vegan baking? Is by making almond milk, soy milk, cashew milk, rice milk, millet milk. There are a lot of different milks. Now you work around feasibly what works. All right. So these are the replacements. We go to the next. Replacing butter. What does butter do? Butter gives flavor, butter gives texture, butter gives moisture. Now, how are we replacing? So ideally, if you want to go completely clean without any kind of fat, we would use pumpkin puree or nut butters like almond butter, cashew butter, walnut butter, whatever works, and apple puree, apple sauce. And then a little step higher is any kind of processed oil, say cold pressed sunflower oil or coconut oil can be used in vegan plant-based baking. All right, we go to the next. Now, what's wrong with sugar? All of us know, all of us are so addicted to sugar. Why? Because sugar is considered to be 10 times more potent than most of the drugs. I would say cocaine is a drug. Sugar is as potent or 10 times more. So what happens when you eat anything that's sugar? Again, there's always a portion that's involved. What sugar does is basically it spikes up your sugar levels like a parachute, and then drops it down, and you feel lethargic and you feel lazy, and then suddenly you feel that craving all over again to eat more sugar, and it's a cycle. Okay, that's what it done. So ideally, our sugar levels shouldn't spike up at one go and then drop down suddenly. So now, to replace all this, what could we use? The cleanest of all is using dried fruits like raisins, dates, prunes, apricots. Then comes coconut sugar, date palm sugar, jaggery. Guys, these are also processed. I won't say and vouch saying that, oh, they're healthier, but slightly, minimal, negligent amount. Even coconut sugar, jaggery, date palm sugar are also processed. They are sugars at the end. Okay. It's just that they have some minimal amounts of minerals that I would say is slightly better than white sugar. White sugar gets bleached, becomes zero on the nutrition level. Coconut sugar, of the few studies that I have read, apparently coconut sugar is the least on the GI index. That means it doesn't spike up your insulin than like the other sugar does. Okay. It has got some complex carb component, because of which the sugar spike is not much. Though the jaggery, date palm sugar, I won't say, oh, they are way better, but they are processed as well. So this is how, but ideally, these are the kind of sugars that are used if you're saying about plant-based baking. All right, we go to the next. Now, how do we, this is all of us, universal, all of us know maida nahi khana chahiye. We should be eating more of whole wheat or other millet flours. We go to the next. Gluten-free. Now, why is gluten-free a fad? Now, what is it? Everyone's talking about gluten-free suddenly. What's it? So ideally, we are a nation who is actually gluten-free, but with the overproduction of wheat, we are tending to eat so much wheat in the ways of um, stuff that are sold in the market in terms of your breads, cookies, everything, all the baked goods, they are high in maida. So there's an overproduction of wheat, and now there's a supply, and then the industry is also taking advantage of it. So basically there is wheat flour maida everywhere, but otherwise we were actually a gluten-free nation to a large extent. Now, what is gluten? Gluten is a protein component that is present in wheat, barley, and rye only, naturally present. All right. And the other grains are completely gluten free, like your ragi, bajra, jawar, kodo, proso, quinoa, not native of India, but now widely eaten. And all your millets, proso, kodo, brown top, barnyard, all these are gluten free grains, very widely present in India. It's just that we have eliminated eating it to a large extent. All right. At least in the south, southern India, I see a lot of people eating, rice roti and jawar ki roti. Some households do, but a lot of people are convenient with eating just maide ki roti and they're done with it. All right. The whole idea is to include a variety of grains. We go to the next. Okay. I will never be a person that, okay, you should go. Like I'm saying, it for me also, it's been a journey. It took me good 8-10 months to convert completely 100% to plant-based. All right. So that's how it should be. I do cheat. I do eat pizzas which are made with whole wheat and maida sometimes. Okay. So there's always a balance that you need to strike. So the whole people say, "Arey, plant-based baking बहुत boring होती है." I mean, there's no taste. So our taste buds are so evolved that we only like something that is soft, that is light, that tastes like maida, that doesn't taste like food, actual food. Okay, that's the whole conditioning that we have actually had from years together. So there's nothing to blame you or me. It is just like going back to your roots and thinking what, probably my grandmother 80, 90 years ago, what she had. Did she have fast food? No. Did she have anything selling in the market? No. So if I think that way, so automatically you will be avoiding a lot of food. So we go to the next. So yeah, okay, coming fast forwarding to where we stand today. So we have so much technology. We have ovens where you can bake your own breads as much as possible. Though I understand everyone's working, it's not possible, but try as much as you can to take care of your health. All right, we go to the next. Okay, ingredients these days on most of the online portals are easily available, even if it's not in the store. Online to 100%, and all the ingredients are very easily available. They're very simple ingredients. You could be having them at home as well. We go to next. All right, so I have 2 recipes that I'm sharing with you all, guys. You will be getting the recording of this session, so don't worry. And if you want to make notes, you can. And post the session. Like after both the videos are played, we'll open up the chat. You have questions, you can put it in. I'll be happy to answer them. All right. I'll be back after this. Versatile breads. Cut it into half-inch rounds. Use it as the base for your crostini or bruschetta. Eat it with your favorite party dip. Eat it with a bowl of pasta or a warm bowl of soup. It is just so satisfying. Made with just 4 simple ingredients: flour, water, salt and yeast. That's about it. It is a super simple recipe. So let's dive into it. So in a bowl, take warm water, add your yeast into it and let it sit for about 2 minutes. Let it dissolve. Meanwhile, in another bowl, we're going to sieve our 100% whole wheat flour and the salt. Always make sure you sieve your whole grains. It just gives a lighter texture to your bread. Right. We're going to keep this aside. We'll wait for our yeast to dissolve. Our yeast is dissolved. You can use a whisk to break the lumps. Make a well in the center of the flour. We're going to add our yeast and water mix into it, and we'll begin to knead and get everything together. There's not much kneading required because this is more like an artisanal loaf that we'll be doing. Just mix it well, and then we can do stretch and folds for strengthening the gluten. So if you realize, we do not use any fat in baguettes. So it's a 100% oil-free, fat-free bread. That's what gives it the crusty and the chewy texture. As we begin to mix, in case if you need some more water, a tablespoon or two, you can add. You have to mix it till you see no dry flour anymore. We need a stiff dough. It is not a soft dough. So if you need a tablespoon or two of water, you can add. You don't want to see any dry flour. Don't make the dough too soft. Right, so this is what we have, and now we'll begin kneading it. Now how would you manually knead a dough is, hold it, start rubbing it and get it back. Change the side, push it, get it back, and the pressure is just from your palm. Turn it, rub it, get it back. Turn, rub, get it back, and that's how you'll keep doing this till the dough comes together and doesn't break too much. So you can use a KitchenAid for this if you have one, but this is how you would be kneading otherwise. So roughly get it together. Might take about 5 to 7 minutes of kneading. So make sure how you're kneading is exactly this. With the pressure of your palm, you're just gonna push it and get it back. Do not like rub it, because the gluten is not strengthening that way. You're breaking the gluten. So push it and get it back. Push it and get it back. So once your dough is come together, we are going to place it in a greased bowl. Use a wet cloth to cover it, and we're going to keep this to rest and to rise for about 1.5 to 2 hours or till doubles, and then we'll get back to it. So our dough for the baguettes has been resting for about 1.5 hours. So this is what it looks like. It's risen well. So at this point, what we're going to do is punch it, get it together, get it on a countertop, and we will portion them equally. Now the shaping, just press it down into a rectangular, just roll it to the center, the other side goes on top, and press this. Pinch the seam to seal it, and now just roll it oblong to the length of your choice. Ideally, the diameter of this is 5 to 6 centimeters, and the length you can decide anywhere between 56 centimeter to 1 meter too. And if you want to make mini baguettes, so even about a 12 inch is good. Just pinch the sides and shape it well. So this is what we have. We're going to keep this, go to the next. Always pinch the seam, and with firm yet gentle hands. Just roll it into a thin, long log. It'll at least double in size, so keep that in mind when you decide the length. Take a baking tray, take a kitchen towel, dust it with flour and place these equidistant, folding between the cloth parallelly. So this is how you're going to be able to shape it. You really don't need a special tray for this. We are going to rest this for about 30 minutes before we bake this. So once this is done, you're going to use a wet cloth to cover this and let it rise for 30 minutes or till doubles. So our baguettes have been resting for close to 30 minutes and they are well risen. So this is what they look like. I'm going to transfer these on the baking tray. Just space it according to the size of your baking tray. So these are well risen, transferred on the baking tray. Make sure while transferring you do not puncture out the air. And now we're going to dust this with the flour. So this is what's going to give you that artisanal look. So after you've dusted them, you're going to score them to anything of your choice. However, one straight line or 3 parallel lines. So we score so that when the bread expands, it expands through these cuts and that's what gives it a more rustic look. So we are going to bake this in a preheated oven for about 35 to 40 minutes or longer if required. So here are our crusty French baguettes. So we let them cool for at least an hour before we slice them. All right, so till the time we play the next recipe, just a couple of seconds. So now we're making a zucchini breakfast loaf. Most of us do have this whole idea about how would we even use zucchini in our breakfast breads. Here is a very simple yet yummy recipe. Let's dive in straight to the recipe. First, I'm going to take flax meal. So these are unsalted, unroasted flax seeds which I've ground into seeds. And to this, I'm adding 6 tablespoons of water and keeping aside for about 10 to 15 minutes for it to gelatinize. And now we're going to make our own oat flour. I've taken rolled oats, taking half the quantity of the rolled oats and grinding it into a flour. So this is what we're looking for. And we are making our own almond flour, unroasted, unsalted almonds. Just grind them. Add the almond flour into the bowl. We are adding rest of our dry ingredients into this. The remaining rolled oats, white rice flour. You can replace it to brown rice flour. Potato starch. So potato starch gives a good body to our breads. So in this particular recipe, I am using 2 starches, that's potato starch and tapioca starch. You can replace these starches to arrowroot or use any one kind of starch. Baking powder, baking soda, salt. Just give this a good mix. Then coming to the wet ingredients. So in a bowl, I'm going to add grated zucchini. So this is green zucchini. You can add yellow as well. Oil, sweetener, apple cider vinegar, and if you wish, you can add some seasonings of your choice, but I highly recommend it. And now the flax egg. Just give it a nice stir and add it in. Give a mix to your wet ingredients. And now add the dry ingredients into it. And with the help of cut and fold method, mix it in. So this is the method so that you're incorporating air. So it's cut and fold. Cut and fold. So we're going to do this only till all our ingredients have come together. We do not want to overmix, otherwise the bread is going to become very dense. So only till your dry ingredients are well incorporated, you are going to do the cut and fold method. Just be patient and don't go ahead adding water, because zucchini once comes in contact with salt and other ingredients, it starts leaving out its own water. So this is what we're looking for. We have a nice dough. And now take your baking pan and put it in and even it out. We're going to even out the top, and we're going to bake this at 180 degrees Celsius for about 30 to 35 minutes. So guys, those were the two recipes. Don't worry, you'll be getting recording of this session. The link will be shared on your WhatsApp. So we'll open up chat. If you have any questions, you can put down there. And just to say that both these recipes are part of my e-learning courses, just in case if you would be interested to look into more information.
Yeah. Also, the written recipes will also be shared in the WhatsApp group.
Why is apple cider vinegar used? It's basically to give an extra boost for the rice.
Okay, Priya, let's cover the details of the e-learning courses. Then we'll take up the questions.
Yeah. So guys, the 100% Bucket Loaf was a part of my healthy breads and vegan spreads workshop. The e-learning course, just in case, guys, just because a lot of people just are interested in learning more. So just gonna run through, and you keep putting in your questions. I'm gonna take them. So I'm just gonna run through, what is the content of this. We have a sesame coriander kulcha, we have bagels, we have calzone, tomato focaccia, we have garlic bread, pita pockets, pesto braided bread, and then we have a loaf bread, pav, burger buns. We go to next slide, please. Okay, so we have dinner rolls.
Okay.
Yeah, we have breadsticks, we have the bucket, like I said, it's a part of this. And just as a compliment, I have some vegan spreads in this workshop, in this e-learning. E-learning in the sense, these are already pre-recorded videos. If you wish to, you can check them out, have more information with you all. And yeah, this is a part, all these breads are 100% whole wheat and are yeasted. Okay, and then the zucchini breakfast loaf, was from my gluten-free and granola e-learning course. Could we go to the next slide, please? So all these breads, guys, be it whole wheat or gluten-free, I would say 3 days at room temperature and 7 days if refrigerated. If you're refrigerating it, ideally you need to remove it and toast it and eat it. Okay. So the gluten-free content is basically, yeah, I have the granola as a complimentary where we have a cacao chili granola, chunky banana bread granola, amaranth nut butter, zesty lemon chia bars, coconut cinnamon bars, brownie granola bars, all these along with the breads where I'm doing a zucchini breakfast loaf. This is the only recipe actually which has starch, a bit of the starch, like the potato starch and or the tapioca. And then I have a zucchini cacao cake. We have a banana walnut loaf, pumpkin keto bread, almond keto bread, and lemon loaf cake, quinoa garlic bread, and masala millet bread. All right. So we have a sweet and a savory kind of breads here. All right. And again, these are e-learning courses. That means they're already pre-recorded. And if you would like to sign up, you will be getting access for it for 1 year. And you'll be logging into an app and you have the videos there to watch and you'll have a PDF to download as well. So the second question comes that, okay, Priya, if we do not, the gluten-free is completely yeast-free, guys. Okay, it's gluten-free and yeast-free. Now, a lot of people come back saying that if we do not want to use a commercial yeast, what will be the next alternative? I would say the only way to bake without any kind of commercial yeast is going the sourdough way. That means you will be cultivating your own yeast and baking a bread. And I'm having a live workshop of this from the day after. It's a 2-week long workshop. It's a live one. All right. Where I have 7-step procedure. On day 1, I'll be teaching you all how to do the bread. Day 2, you'll be starting the starter with me right from the scratch. And this is 100% whole wheat sourdough. And through the 2-week process, I'll run you through how to make your own starter. And then you'll be making your own breads with these starters. And this is a live workshop that's happening from the 24th. It's going to be 3 lives. Day 1, 2, and the last day is going to be live. In between, I'm going to be available on the WhatsApp, sharing more information, and you guys also can take it up. And you have, Tanishka, the links to share for this, and then I'll take up the questions.
Yes. So here's the offer of the day. It is only valid for today. You can go for the any of the e-learning courses for 699, whereas the actual price is 999. You are getting it at 30% discount. You can get both the e-learning courses. E-learning courses are the pre-recorded courses. I'm mentioning it again. Priya has already mentioned this earlier. You can get both the e-learning courses at 1099 at 30% discount. You can get whole wheat sourdough live program, which we are starting day after at 1499, whereas the actual price was 1874. You can go for the both courses, both the e-learning courses, along with whole wheat sourdough live program at 2399, which you will be getting on 38% discount. You can also scan the QR code clearly flashing on your screen. You can also make the payment via GPay or Paytm. The number is visible on your screen. What you have to do is just share the payment screenshot along with your details, name, number, email ID, and city. Manisha, can you please share the payment details in the WhatsApp in the chat box, and we'll also be sharing in the WhatsApp group. Okay, Priya, we can take up the questions now.
Yes, please. Is sourdough better than the whole commercial yeast? So guys, I'll tell you. So for some people, so what happens in sourdough bread, it's basically a fermented bread. Okay, the bread gets fermented and that baked. Versus when you're doing commercial yeast, there is no way that your bread is fermenting naturally. Okay, it's a faster process when you're doing a commercial yeasted bread. So a lot of people have gut issues. So the sourdough works better for a lot of people. Even for me, I see a lot of difference when I'm eating sourdough versus the normal bread. The digestion is way smoother when you're doing sourdough. So again, you need to observe how your body is working, what it's working, how it's working, how comfortable are you eating. So all those things are there. And I know lot of people, like people who are Jains, who do not eat commercial yeast in any way. So a lot of people I see, they tend to eat sourdough. So just giving, there's always an alternative on what you believe around it. So this is going to be 100% whole wheat sourdough workshop where you're doing your starter right from the scratch. Starter is we are cultivating our own yeast, wild yeast, and using that to bake the breads. So this making the starter process takes minimum of 7 days, could take up to 12 to 14 days as well. Hence, we have it for 2 weeks. For everyone, it's going to differ. So once you have your starter ready, you'll be doing your breads and you can make n number of things with this starter alone. Okay, the starter is going to be completely magical. And I'll be covering only 100% whole wheat, guys, because this entire 2 week is already intense. So I'm not going to touch any other flour. No maida, no gluten-free or millet flours. Though I can give you, like, how to add on to a whole wheat, but I'm not touching them through this session. Yeah. What questions, Tanishka?
Okay, can you please take those up or should I read those out?
Okay, then my screen will go blank.
Okay, you can try doing it, otherwise I'll do it.
Okay, okay. Okay, am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yeah. You
Yeah,
are
okay.
visible
Which,
also.
okay. Which OTG to be used for baking? So, I would say for any kind of whole wheat and gluten-free, ideal is to use a oven. Okay, I'm not talking about microwave. I'm talking about a oven toaster griller oven. Okay. Why is apple cider vinegar used? So see, usually 100% whole wheat and gluten free flours are dense. Now, to give the baking soda in some cases or the yeast a extra boost, we tend to add apple cider vinegar or some acidic agent, say sometimes lemon juice also. All right. So it'll give you minimally better rice versus not using it. What does it mean? Potato starch gives body. So potato starch is more for the structure. All right. Gives and then can we use air fryer? Ideally, guys, I do not really suggest, especially when it's coming to baking. Wheat and gluten free. I wouldn't suggest, especially breads or cakes. Was a substitute of yeast. So ideally, like I said, if you're talking about yeast or substitute, the substitute is going to be sourdough itself, the sourdough starter that you use instead of yeast to bake the breads. Yeah, people have actually asked me yeast alternatives. So there is no direct swap to yeast at all, guys. All right. And all the recipes that I've covered in the e-learning course are rigorously, like, obviously gone through a lot of research, lot of trials. Only then I have made those recipes, and all the recipes are given by grams so that you do not really go wrong. So any changes you're going to make with the whole recipe, those recipes are not going to be exact. You say that, okay, instead of yeast, can I add soda? The recipe will change completely. Okay. Yes, I've used whole wheat flour in the first recipe. Apart from potato starch, what starch can you use? Yes, you can use arrowroot, you can use tapioca, you can use potato starch or cornstarch. All the four are swappable, though potato starch is a more heavier starch. Okay, arrowroot is a better option. We can go with corn flour as well. If you want to add black olive, so basically you can add it along when you're doing the zucchini itself. When you are mixing the dry and the wet, you can do it then. Why isn't yeast rising? Now, see, yeast are of three types. One is the dry active yeast, one is the instant yeast, one is the fresh yeast. Fresh yeast, we are not talking about it. Okay, usually fresh yeast is used in half the quantity of the other two. Now, with instant yeast, is basically you do not have to bloom it and directly use it. But in that case, you need to be sure that your instant yeast is super active. Okay. When it comes to dry active yeast, there is a necessity for it to So dry active yeast is basically, it's got dry outside, the outside layer of the yeast particles, the cells are dead. So you need to activate it by feeding it with some kind of a sweetener and warm water. Okay. Ideally, I do the same thing with the instant yeast also, so that I am sure that the instant yeast is active. So that will give me a thumbs up rather than, waiting for the whole recipe to be ready and then seeing if the yeast is working. All right. Okay. Speak in English and Hindi. Shelf life of gluten-free products, yes, 3 days, minimum 3 days, maximum 7 days. When baking with gluten-free bread, how to make sure it's binded well and doesn't fall apart. Also, when I tried wheat-based cake earlier, it was not spongy enough, but it was dense. Can you explain what might have been the reason? Okay, guys, 100% whole wheat breads, gluten-free, are dense cakes or breads itself. Please don't have that conditioning, that something that you're getting in the market. The breads are like this. Read the ingredients. There will always be extra gluten added. I worked in a commercial bakery for 1 month. Okay. They were selling brown bread in the name of just adding brown color to the maida bread. That was the only difference, to give it color of the wheat. Okay, so please don't get blinded or excited ki market ki bread or the whole wheat comes this way. Always read ingredients behind. See, even maida is a part of wheat. If they say wheat flour, it can be maida also. All right. Till they are specifying it is 100% whole wheat flour and not refined flour, only then you can be sure. Then go further in reading the ingredients. If there is any chemical ingredient added, any conditioner added, any preservative added, so that also adds on. So, okay, don't get blinded with something that you're getting in the market and when you're making at home, because at home you know exactly what kind of ingredients you're using. All right. And the thing about whole wheat and gluten-free baking is basically mixing it and giving it only enough hydration. Overhydration, underhydration, over mixing can make your breads completely flat. And at times, if you've overmixed, it makes it completely flat, in the sense you won't see any rise also. And this comes completely with practice. Totally with practice, ki where to stop with the hydration also. Okay. I hope that's clear, Aishwarya. Priya, when are we making the sourdough bread? The workshop starts from the 24th, 4 p.m. 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. is the first session. And then on the day 2, we are doing 11 to 12:30. And the rest of the day is 1 hour. The WhatsApp group will be open where you can post your questions. I'll be giving instructions, doing your starter. And on the last day, that's the 7th of November, we'll have one live where, I will do I'll do a pizza recipe, I will do cracker recipe, and of course, a Q&A and a recap of everything. Is yeast vegan? So now it is controversial, guys. Now, though yeast is supposed to be a single cellular organism, okay? Now, again, it's a choice, your belief in what you do. I do consume yeast. Okay, that's why I call myself plant-based. I do not touch the vegan side of food. Okay, so in case if you're not too sure about consuming yeast, anything fermented also, guys, like you eat your curd, you drink kombucha, you drink any kind of fermented food, automatically there are microorganisms in them. If you consume that, eating yeast is absolutely fine. If you're anti-eating any fermented food, then maybe yeast might not be a good choice for you. Okay, that's how I look at it. Like I said, yes, sourdough, a lot of people have gut issues, so sourdough works well for them. Okay, if you feel a lot of people who are gluten intolerant also, intolerant, I'm not saying celiac, people who are sensitive to gluten, they are fine eating sourdough breads, because in sourdough, what happens, I will tell you, the science is basically the bread gets fermented naturally. In that case, the phytic acid are certain inhibitors. They are basically broken down in the fermentation process, and the digestion becomes easier. So that's how the sourdough breads work, and which is not really possible and not always the case when you're doing yeasted breads, commercial yeasted breads. Can we use sourdough? Can sourdough be used for millets? Of course, yes. But the session that I'm covering is only 100% whole wheat. I won't be touching any other topic. Guys, I'm just dropping my Instagram in case you have any questions later. Um, you can ask me in case when you're doing the recipe. Can we use convention mode and microwave to bake breads? So guys, see now I personally have never baked breads in a microwave. Okay. I've had students who have attended my workshops, they've done it because possibly they have been baking in microwave for a long time. So if you are accustomed that how your microwave works within terms of settings, then it will work. Okay. Yes. So guys, the recipe video of today, what we covered, the zucchini breakfast loaf and the baguette, the link will be shared on the WhatsApp. Okay, so you'll have the recipe and the PDF of the recipe will also be shared. In case you'll have any questions, you can get in touch with me on my Instagram saying that you have so and so doubt. And if in case okay, guys, no sharing any personal links here, please. All right. What is the purpose of adding starches? Is basically to give body. So gluten-free flours usually have to use combination of flours. All right. It's never usually made with one single flour. It's usually a combination of flours depending on what output you want. There are some recipes which require combination. Like in some recipes, we use brown rice flour, oat flour, and almond flour. In some recipes, like the zucchini, we're using oat flour along with the starches. Okay, starches again. Every recipe is different. All right, not necessary. If I have used it in one, the other might require the same combination. For example, the keto breads, they are just almond flour or pumpkin seed flour along with isabgol. So it's just that. So guys, coming to the e-learning, even there, if you are ever stuck and if you're signing up for anything, you will have a Dropbox to ask questions, but I'm going to be reachable on Instagram. Just say that, okay, you're a part of this workshop, you've paid for this, you have so-and-so questions, this is where I'm stuck. Just drop it in. Usually I reply within 3-4 hours unless there is a time difference or I'm traveling. But usually within 24 hours, I do answer to queries or sometimes in few minutes also, just in case, just saying. And there are very specifics that I have written if you're taking up the e-learning workshop or even for the sourdough workshop, guys. The earlier you sign up, the better, so that I give you a pre-list on, what to be ready with so that everything's happening in sync while I'm doing it. Cool. Wheat. Okay. Wheat is also having gluten, right? Do we learn? So the wheat, yes. That's why I'm saying we are doing 100% whole wheat sourdough, if that's what you meant. Do we learn millet-based bread? It is there in the gluten-free and the granola workshop. That is completely millet-based. Millet, I will say gluten-free. I won't say completely millet-based. Okay, guys, any other questions further? In case, you can get in touch with me, though Tanishka will be sharing the links for everything that we have covered along with the recordings, the PDF, and the links for the workshops in case if you're interested, and the sourdough workshop as well. People who are joining, I will see you on the other side then.
Okay, thanks, Jayashree, for making payment for both the courses. Details will be shared by tomorrow with you. And thank you everyone for joining in. I would just like to mention it again that this offer is only valid for today. You can go for any of the individual course for $699. You can go for both the e-learning courses at 1099. You can go for Sardo Life program at 1499, and you can also go for both the programs plus Sardo Life program for 2399, which is at which is valued at 38% discount. You can also make the payment via UPI. The number is visible on the screen. You just need to share the payment screenshot along with the details, name, number, email ID, and city. So thank you everyone for joining in. We'll be sharing all the details in the WhatsApp group again. You can ask your queries there. We'll be there to answer all your queries, and recording will be shared there itself. Thank you, Priya, for joining in, and thank you everyone for joining in. We would like to wind up
One
now.
sec, Tanishka. I guess there's some questions. Individual courses, that means if you're doing a whole wheat workshop or the gluten-free workshop, both the courses, matlab, the whole wheat and the gluten-free together. Okay. And then is the sourdough. You can take up individual courses as well of the 100% whole wheat and the gluten-free, or if you want to take both together. Hope that's clear. And then all those, the two workshops are, the two courses are pre-recorded. That means you'll be getting a link. You can look up to it, look up to the videos at your convenience. The access is going to be there for a year. And then the whole wheat sourdough is a live workshop where I'll be coming like this and talking to you all. And it'll be a live interaction for 2 weeks that I'll be with you all. And of course, even for the same, you'll be getting the recording for a year.
Okay. Thank you. We are winding up now. You can ask
Great,
your questions
guys.
in the
Have a
WhatsApp group.
great weekend, and I'll see you on the other side.